This is Learning to Dad.
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing.
With Tyler Ross.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
I'm gonna have fun, and you're gonna have fun.
Myron, the Jackhammer Welik, thank you so much for your time today. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Thank you for being here. It's an honor. It's great. Thank you for inviting me, Tyler.
Yeah, this kind of summary of your story includes so many things. There's zero chance we're going to get to talk about everything, but we'll focus a lot on your experience as both a parent and an entrepreneur. But do you have a website, a social media page to share real quick where people could catch up on your life?
I think they can go to my LinkedIn. That's probably the best quick snapshot. Usually good. It's up to date for the for the moment. I don't really have a formal website. No, I think LinkedIn is the best way to catch up. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, just briefly, I know you had a multi-million-dollar business coming into the 2002. Everything got lost. You spent time, maybe even depressed as you were reinventing yourself to get things going again. You've made deals with and strategic partnerships with all kinds of companies and event spaces that everybody's heard of. You're into real estate. You've written books. You're 71 going on 51. But first, tell me about your kind of family profile, when you met your wife, how old your kids are.
Yeah, I'd love to. So just a backstory, because that's a story in itself. My wife and I met, we've been married 37 years, I think, or 37 years. I better get it right or I'm going to get in trouble. We met standing in line at LaGuardia Airport. She's from Brooklyn, New York, my wife. And it took a while until I realized that was the one. But she's Catholic and I'm Jewish. So in the beginning, but being from New York and in the garment business, as you can appreciate, she's probably more Jewish than me. And she was more Jewish than me. Absolutely, very true. It would have been from Cleveland or Cincinnati, no disrespect to those places, or Virginia, where it's not as big a Jewish population. Maybe it wouldn't be true. But New York, as you know, is probably like more than Israel. But anyways, we met there and we dated. To make it, back and forth, long distance. I'm in Montreal, she's New York, for 3.5 years, and finally said, marry me or I moved to New Jersey. She didn't say it that way, but eventually. And she agreed to move here, which she knew because I had a business at that point. And she didn't convert, but she agreed to bring the kids up Jewish, and she did. And she's more Jewish than me, and she did. We did because that was the only sticking point. You didn't want to confuse the kids. And we did want kids. At least we had it out before. We definitely wanted kids. If we didn't want kids, it would be no issue, of course. It would be just her and I. It would be a non-issue. But we did. Both wanted that. So we were clear on that, and we got that out. So I'd advise anybody, you have to get that clarified. Otherwise, it's going to creep up and bite you from behind if you don't. You can't ignore it because it could, if it's really extreme, it could cost you the whole relationship. There's no question. If you can't figure it out before, better you figure out before or you don't figure it out before, type of thing. So anyways, we got married in New York, and then she moved here, and that was like, so I've known her almost 40 years, back and forth. But like I said, she's from New York and Brooklyn, and but she's lived here, and because she's from, ironically, a lot of coincidences, her parents, grandparents are from France, so she speaks French almost fluently, and French is one of the predominant languages in Montreal, Quebec. So that's not too many Americans do. And another coincidence, her grandfather built a country house in Montreal, a country house in Montreal, near Montreal, about an hour and a half from Montreal, 70, 80, 90 years ago, which was crazy. He came up here. So it was quite a coincidence. So they had it, and they kept coming up every summer. And again, she spoke French, so there's a lot of similarities that no one expected. It's kind of almost like movie-like. So it worked, and then my two kids, one Jeremy, he's about 33. He's phenomenal. We're close. He's has a full-time business, painting, and and into music, and he's a great entrepreneur. My daughter's an occupational therapist. But just to tell you with kids, I wrote a book called Snapshots of Heaven, because I think kids take us to heaven and back before our time. Okay, and basically it was just 50, I think it's 40 or 50, I forget now, little stories about real life stories about each kid of mine. So, I mean, my only thing about being a father, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I was lucky. I love being a parent. I love being a father. It's just natural. But if you don't, it's going to be kind of challenging if you don't. So you never really know until you have it. It's like having a dog. I love my dog, Brooklyn, to bits. But it's a hell of a responsibility, much like kids. But you really don't know these things until you get into them. And you can do what you want, but like a car or a house, if you're not happy with it, it's not just so easy to give it back. So it doesn't work that way so simply. So, I mean, I love being with my kids, and I do now more than ever, in the family. But that's me. And one of the things I've tried to do, and, to some degree of success, I hope, is that always be courage, So, it's first about them, what the music, what the clothes, because there's a difference in age, obviously. So, but you want to be relevant and current, and you want to be interested and caring, and you got to be proactive as a parent. You got to call them and work to earn that relationship. I think like that, and hopefully, if you invest over the years, you do. I mean, even a simple thing like when kids are in their teenagers and they're starting to go out and eventually to the bars and clubs or whatever, I would be the parent. Just because I wanted to, if they would call 2 a.m. or 3 a.m, I'd go pick them up at any time. I just did that because I knew one day, which has come already and gone, I wouldn't have that chance. So I would pick them up at 3. Not too many parents would go. Even then, only one other parent. They would not. They just wouldn't get up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. They'd figure, nicely make your own way or figure it out. But I always did because I loved the chance. Even though they were in the back seat sleeping, I knew they were okay, and I spent it sometimes talking, sometimes not. But I also knew that time would come and go, which of course it did. And then coaching my son or my daughter on their sports, hockey, soccer, and all that, I loved that. And I made a proactive effort to get involved in that with them for as long as I could and they could, because that would come and go. So that did, of course, come and go. So all I can say is, being a father, I just think like it's like your business or like anything you do in life. You're either in or you're out. So and you got to be a 400% in. It's like a business too, I'm sure, or anything you do in life. If you don't have passion or drive or doing it, number one, it's going to be very difficult to keep it going. You know what I mean? And it's going to show. You can't, you can lie, but you can't lie forever. I think to the world, because most people are not good at that. So it's going to show physically sooner or later. And so like I said, it's everybody I guess is different. But again, having kids, or even having a dog, it's time and work and sacrifice. And if you're selfish about it, you can't have it. You're better off alone, which is fine. Which is fine. And I respect people now. I know people who never had kids, and you know what? They're right. For them, I respect them. Couples or individuals. They're just not for them. And they never had it. They like their nieces, their nephews, that kind of thing. That's their kids, and that's enough. But at least they're honest about it. They're not a bad parent and all that. And I respect these people. They just wasn't for them, and that's cool. That's fine. I think they're missing on the biggest thing. But then again, that maybe they're not. For them, they're not missing anything, and I understand that. For me, they are. But you don't know what you don't know. And again, you can't know it until you do it. Most things in life, vicariously, doesn't mean anything. So, that's the short thing. It's even like a dog. It's work and sacrifice. If you don't love the dog, you're not gonna sacrifice it to and take it out. It's not like other animals or a cat. As simple as that. It's almost like having another kid. I know it. I have my dog Brooklyn after 4 years, and but it's called love, and that there's a price for that. And that's the same thing with whoever you're married to, or your boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. It's like your business. If you're not going to put anything into your business or enough time and effort, of course you wouldn't think of it not to. You're not going to get anything out of it. You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. And that that you clearly 71 years old by any metric, 50, 40, you have a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, a lot of passion for the things that you do.
Yeah.
So going back to 2002, you described this multi-million-dollar business loss as catastrophic, paralyzing you with self-doubt, and even leading to depression. Your kids were younger at that time, and I've been depressed before. I know how it kind of brings you inside of yourself. Can you talk about like how you cultivated resilience through that
That's a
depression?
good question.
And talking to your kids through that depression.
To be frank, I don't really remember much of it. It was a long time ago. I don't really, fortunately. And I, sometimes I'm asked the question, even now, which is a very normal question and a valid question. If you can go back to your 20, I used to ask that question all the time too. Your 20 or 21 self, what would you say to them and do things differently? I don't like to go back. You know what I mean? I really, I don't want to waste my time, because time and energy, it's a waste, even for a minute or two. So I really don't think about it, because I can't go back. If I could, I would talk to you about it, but I can't. So I have to only think about the moment I'm talking to you now and tomorrow or today. And that's really where I need to focus my energy and all that. But I think it was then, having my wife made all the difference in the world. Had I been alone, it probably would have been a freaking nightmare. I can't even think of it that long. I don't even want to go there. There's no question. Single mothers or single parents are the real heroes of the world, or one of the real heroes of the world. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know. I don't know. A lot of times, besides there's the financial challenges, which is a nightmare, and trying to work because you can't work and like that. If you have all the money in the world, obviously it's easier, because money is a big issue. Obviously it's easier. You're lucky then. But for the many who don't have that luxury, the majority, I have no idea. It is a freaking nightmare. No question. Trying to keep those kids stable, happy, and buoyant, it's not their responsibility. And some kind of normalcy where nothing is normal, I don't know. So, fortunately, there was no single parent. Fortunately, it's a strong marriage. So in my case, I have to talk what's good on it, because that helped, no question, me even being here talking to you. And it took me 16 years until I reinvented myself. But at the end of the day, I still had, marriage or kids, I still have to take care of me, obviously, and find a way for me. It still comes down to me, obviously, which I've done and doing and trying to do every day. But I really do not look back, because it's a waste of time. And it's counterproductive.
That's absolutely fair. So you're as a father, as someone who provided for his family, how has your role morphed? And your kids are older. I don't know if you have any grandkids or not, but how's your role?
No, they're not married yet. My wife wishes they were, but with me, it is what it is. Okay, I like with my son. He likes. We love sports. We went. We do different things. Like in February, we went to Oklahoma City to see the basketball team together. We spent 3 days. It was great. So we try to do that. You know what I mean? And that was a great trip. We went. People would say, "What the hell did you go to Oklahoma City for?" No disrespect. Why Oklahoma City? Well, they have a great basketball team with a couple of players from Montreal called the OK Thunder. It's a great city, by the way. I love the city. People were great. It's a small city, very livable, very reasonable, phenomenal city. Phenomenal. It's too bad more people don't. Everybody should see it at least once. But that's my 2 cents. But I don't work for the Oklahoma tourists. So we saw a couple of basketball games there, pro basketball, which was great, and we had some great time together. And then hopefully, so I try to do some trips with them by just me and them. Just 2-3 days, and my daughter or something else. I've been to Boston with my daughter. We drove there, Boston's about a 5-6 hour drive from Montreal, so it's no big deal. And that was a trip, so we spent time. I try to have as often as I can, once a month, whatever, a dinner or a breakfast with them. I don't just do the phone call. You have to see them and keep in touch, but you got to make the effort. It's an effort. They're not going to call you, which I understand, and say, hey, let's go for dinner and all that, which the onus is on the parent to initiate it, find the time, make it happen. And, if you keep doing it enough, they're going to want to be with you as much as you want to be with them, because there's a history there. And it's a positive history, and they enjoy it. So I naturally, I don't have to think, love just spending time with them, just like I do my dog, because it's a great experience. We don't do it every day. We speak to each other once or twice a week. They fortunately still live in Montreal. But if they didn't, it doesn't matter. We'd figure it out. But they have their own lives, of course, obviously, and they're not kids. So I think that's built up over time. You can't replace. To tell people you love them means nothing. It's just words by itself. The proof is over time. My father said, you have to show it and prove it and repeat it over and over again. Again, you can irresponsibly use love as much as you can use hate. It doesn't mean anything by a word. It absolutely nothing. It means by action. Most things. It means nothing. It only means something if the action goes with it. That's all it means. Yes, but if there's not enough action or effort on it, then what does it mean? It's empty.
So
Doesn't mean anything to me.
So when in your life do you feel the most loved?
Well, my father was a great father, actually. He also, he planted the seeds. So because he spent time, he coached my team, went for dinner, so he was great. But I think and the childhood was reasonably good. I mean, it was good. It was okay. I mean, I grew up in a local suburb. I have no complaints on it. Had a great group of friends. High school, nothing dramatic happened bad that I can remember. Fortunately, my father passed away 6-7 years. But he planted the seeds on the skills of what it takes to be a great father or parent, if you know what I mean. Basically, it's taking time and investing. And as far as me, I'm happiest when, with my family, and whether it's just me and Laura or my wife or the four of us go for dinner or, Mother's Day. So we try to do these things as much as we possibly can. But again, you got to make a conscious effort to initiate it, to plan it. Because like anything good, even in business, nothing happens by himself. So unless, if you don't consciously plan something, the weeks go, the months go, the years go, and it all runs by you. It's too late. There's no question. If you don't consciously make a time, find a time, even though if you're a pain in the ass, it's not going to happen, or you're going to run out of time. You know that, and I know that.
As a conscious parent and someone that invested in their children, I'm sure that you had a couple of characteristics that you demanded or expected of your kids and did everything you could to cultivate those characteristics in your kids. Are there 2 or 3 characteristics or adjectives you would use to describe your kids that were a priority for you that they ultimately ended up having and that you're proud of?
Yeah, that's a good point, Tyler. Thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate that. That's a smart point. Yeah, I think the biggest thing you can teach, because I was going to say it, but I forgot. Too much going on, freak. I think that one of the biggest things you can teach kids is self-confidence and self-reliance, okay? Because the world's not a fun place sometimes. It's a mean place, it's a bad place, and a cruel place. And if the kids are not self-confident, stand up for themselves, because you can't hold their hand forever. You can't be there for them, obviously. They're going to get killed. They're going to get trampled on. They're going to get taken advantage of. So I think that one of the biggest things as a parent, if you can give them enough, and that's part of the love, that they know they're loved, that they know they're good by themselves, and they're smart to make their own decisions as much as possible, that they have the self-confidence. If somebody can't just, doesn't mean it won't happen. Of course, you fall in love, your heart gets broken. I mean, things happen, right? But you don't get the job you want, you don't get the opportunity. Things happen. The disappointments are a way of life, unfortunately. But the biggest deal, if you can really plant some kind of self-reliance, I said self-confidence, where they walk out to the world and they're not easily, I repeat, trampled on, and they're on their guard, and they have enough confidence and they're happy with themselves, they can take on a lot of garbage, a lot of crap out there. You know what I mean? Deal with it, and will not let people. And I think generally it's the case with my kids, and not let people irresponsibly, unnecessarily take advantage of them. Okay, because they don't need to prove their self-worth; they have it. So I think by us, again, when kids grow up, it's important to say you're proud of them, no matter what you do, because you are. I mean, I hope you are. If you're not, then, well, anyway, I don't know what you're having kids for. So, and they have to hear that, because, just any effort it's not the success, it's the journey, of course. You got to be proud of them. And that takes different definitions along the journey. It starts in kindergarten and right up until they're adults, right? They're all different examples, okay? But at different phases in everybody's life, just like your life, my life, your parents, it's the same thing. So when somebody says they're proud of you, I think that means something. It's not the end of all of everything. It's not going to define success by itself, but certainly a lot better than somebody keep tearing you down or knocking you down or criticizing. Nobody needs that. That's garbage. So, what's good is constructive feedback. Okay? So that's good. Okay? That's okay. As long there's a way of giving it that it's constructive and helpful. And that's smart and that's good, because you could of course not agree or have better ways of explaining to your kids what to do something, but you want to do it in a constructive way, just like you would be a teacher in a school. How long are you going to last as a teacher? I hope not long if you're going to keep shutting down the kids. God's sake. What nonsense. Or work, for example, if you have associates and you're shouting and screaming and not being constructive, you're going to end up alone. No, you're a fool. So, but it's priceless to parent, because if you don't, it can lead some, you can have collateral damage, as they say. First they won't talk to you anymore. They won't share with you because they're afraid, which I don't blame them, and they'll hide up, and you're going to miss a lot that you should have. I don't blame them. I wouldn't talk to you either if you're like that, and that results in the worst thing. So I think the big deal is the self-worth, self-confidence. And they know the love is there, the support is there when and if they need it. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I completely agree. Those are two qualities I want my 8 and 9-year-old kids to have. And so when I want to, I express how proud I am of them constantly, and I think they're amazing kids. But if you were to give advice to me or someone like me on, here are the things I recommend that you do to cultivate self-reliance, self-assurance, self-confidence, is there anything that you would encourage someone to have their kids do or participate in that, kind of marinates those things?
I think number one, be there for them. Number two, see what they like and then do it, whether it's sports, music, everybody's different, or what kind of activities there are there. Every town, every city in the world, North America has, most of them anyway, so Montreal, Virginia, has all kinds of activities for kids, different, not just sports. What do they like to do? I would encourage them to get out, to do these many different things. You don't want to overload them, drown them, but you want them to do stuff and meet other kids and get friends. So whether it's sports, if they're not into sports, that's fine. Whether it's music, whether it's exercise, whether it's trampoline, whatever the hell there is. There's all kinds of stuff out there. And then I think that's good. And it doesn't matter what level they're at. It just matters that they're trying and doing it. They don't have to be the best or the worst. It doesn't matter if they're the worst. They're doing it for fun. They're certainly not, it's not the Olympics. And it's not the Olympics. And it's not the Super Bowl. It's not professional. It's just kids. So that's one. And then, I think the more you take time to explain to them and show them, not dictate to them. I think as parents, I know you got to earn their respect as much as they got to earn yours. Don't take it for granted just because you're a parent. It doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean you know better at all. There's no school for this. There's all kinds of stuff and all kinds of books. At the end of the day, I'm not saying it's BS. I'm just saying you only really learn when you're. It's like many games in sports. You only really learn when you're live on the field and faced with the opposition. Then you start to really learn what the hell. You're in a football game. What the hell's going on? What the hell you got to do? And everything you thought about. Hey, coach, they ain't working. We got to figure something else. I thought it would. Well, it's not working, coach. We got to come up with something else, or we're going to get killed here. Okay, we're going to get killed by this team, 50-0. Or sports is a great metaphor for all that. So you can prepare, yes, as much as you can, and I think you should. But you're doing it every hour of every day. So you learn. You kind of learn as you go to some extent. I didn't really read the books and all that. I just was intuitive, was learning and listening to them because it's a dialogue.
I think sports is such a great. Sorry, go ahead.
There's time to reprimand and all that, but I don't believe in punishment or touching the kid. I don't believe in that. I think there's other ways. Some parents may want. That's their prerogative. I never did. Sometimes they're screaming, you get fed up. Parents are human too. You get exasperated, things come into your mouth. It happens. Not bad or good. You're people. So you go through stuff in your life. It's not good all the time. So what can I say? You just try to, as much as possible, remember who you're talking to and keep it to a minimum. But stuff happens where maybe you can't control and you say something you wish you didn't say or too loud. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You're talking about sports, I think, is so great because it's one of those constant things. You know, the Little League team you played on is the same as the Little League team I played on, and the field is the same. But the context of life is so different. Like, I didn't grow up with a cell phone or social media, but sports is the same and constant and relatable.
And it's girls and guys today. I mean, it doesn't matter because there's so much opportunity for girls as guys. Doesn't matter what you have. I had a daughter. She could play soccer. She could play basketball. Maybe not football. There's touch football. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there today. It's pretty, as opposed to 20, 30 years ago. My kids grew up also before the social media explosion, which was good, I think. So I can't talk about that because I don't have that experience. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say because I did not grow up with kids who lived or died on the phone. Fortunately, they did towards teenager and all that. They grew up in the 90s, but not. It didn't really happen. To 10 or 11 to the iPhone and all that. So maybe in their late teens, early 20s. So they were much older. So I never experienced that. I'm glad. So I have nothing to say about it because social media was just beginning. It wasn't a major issue. Even with them when they were growing up. Wasn't an issue at all, really.
So, Myron, I know we are starting to back up into your time frame, so I'll wrap up our conversation with just a couple quick hitters, kind of some rapid-fire questions.
Yeah, sure.
Did you have a favorite father figure, fictional father figure growing up, whether it be from television or books or comic strips? Was there anybody that you ever liked as a father figure that was fictional?
Nobody that stands out of my mind, to be honest.
Okay.
As a father figure, I admire a lot of men and women for other things, but not as I said, not for any reason in particular. It's just that I never did. Not because I don't have any logical, smart reason to tell you, Tyler. But no, I never thought of it that way. No.
So.
And also in television, all these stuff, they tend to be idealized. So Farlow's best and all that. So I take it all with a grain of salt. It doesn't really mean anything to me, or the movies and all that, because my real life is my real life. So I like to watch it from an entertainment perspective. I love it, but not for necessarily that I'm learning how to be a great father. I don't take it as a course or instruction. I don't think anybody should. They take it for what it is. I don't think they're meant to be that way. I think the movies are meant to entertain. It's a TV show. They're not real people. It's a fiction. Someone's creating it. So remember that, like a lot of fiction, it's fiction. It's phenomenal, but it's fiction. It's a metaphor for life. It's not real people. That's why fiction can take the license of exaggerating things or romanticizing or sweetening, saccharine, that it's dramatic because it's not the way it happened. But we know that. I should hope we know that. It's okay. You need all these different things, too.
What is one strength you had or have as a father and one weakness?
My wife probably would say I can't say no to my kids. Probably I'm not good, and my Brooklyn, my dog too. I just think the strength is I'm there for them all the time.
That's beautiful.
That's it. That's a strength, yeah. And I'm not good at discipline. To be honest with you, I'm not good that way. I'm okay to a certain extent. My wife's a lot better, but I'm not good at discipline. Even with my dog, I'm not good.
It's hard. It's hard to discipline somebody or something you love.
Yeah. I mean, my wife's much better at it because she loves them just as much, if not more, but she could separate herself. I'm not as good at that, so I let them enough rope to hang themselves, if to use the expression.
If time and money were no object, and you could give a gift to every father on the planet, again, time, space, money, no object. You're going to give a gift to every father on the planet. What is a gift that you would bestow upon every dad?
I don't know if it's a gift. Just very simply to take this conversation on the road, what we just had now, and speak to thousands and millions of people, and get their feedback and all that. What my experience as fatherhood was, because kids need both parents if it's possible. If it's not, it's not. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean necessarily any negative. It's all good. It's all fine. It's not always possible, unfortunately. So that's okay. But if it's possible, if it can, and try as much as possible before you're having kids, because any idiot can have a kid, as we know. Is that what you really want? Now I know it's impossible to say, but remember, you're never going to sleep late again for a long time. It's a lifetime commitment. I mean, unless you want to give it back after 3-4 years, that's up to you.
So my last question relates to a message you would to deliver to every Welik, every generation. If this recording lasts forever, what is some message you would give to your kids, your grandkids, their grandkids, and so on?
I just think at the end of the day, the most important thing is love. It was a very brilliant expression by Blaise Pascal, which is a French philosopher, and he once said that the heart has its reasons that reason will never understand. And I think that says it all. He's absolutely right. Because at the end of the day, what keeps us from going back to cavemen and what keeps us, unfortunately, from killing each other, the best thing is this thing called love. I mean, there's a lot of good things in life, but at the end of the day, I got to think for any reasonable human being, you have to ask them, and either they missed out on love, they wish they had more love, or they love the love they have. Because at the end of the day, when it's over, I don't think you're going to remember the Vegas trip. They're all great, or Italy, or the house, or the clothes, or any of that. You're going to remember people and relationships. And the love is not necessarily with kids or wife or family, friends. However, the love is exercised and executed. I just mean the word love. But again, love has to live. It has to. It's not. There's a zillion books and movies, as we know, and I love them all, and poems. But they all don't mean anything until they're practiced. I do a simple thing when my wife calls. I don't have her name on there. She's going crazy. I just have the word love. So when it calls, it pops up, because that's what she is to me. So, but yeah, the gift you have is that this is somebody, whoever created us, gave us this thing called love. I don't know where we'd be without it. It'd be impossible to imagine. There'd be nothing without it. So we wouldn't be able to exist.
When do you think you acknowledged that?
I'm sorry?
When do you think that you acknowledged that for the first time, love being the most important?
I don't remember the first time. I've always been that way, to be honest with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Myron.
Thank you.